Thank you for joining us. Today's workshop, we are going to be making a pop-up card using the Silhouette software, as well as your Silhouette cutting machine. I'll be using a Cameo 4 today, but you might be joining us with a different version of a Silhouette machine. And so, whatever version you're working with will be great. What I'm going to do is the first few minutes of the workshop, I'm going to go over a presentation for how to make this card, and then we'll go into the Silhouette design software and we will make the card together step by step. So in the first portion of the class, I really encourage you not to try and make along with me, but to have a pen and paper handy. Pop in questions in the Q&A if you have them, and then we're going to go into the software together and we'll build out our card from scratch. So why don't I go ahead and get started? I'll share my screen here so that we can do our presentation together. Okay, so let's see. So the Mother's Day pop-up card. This will be our finished card. And to get started, we will jump into the Silhouette Studio software. The first two elements we're going to add to our canvas will be an oval that is 6.5 inches by 5 inches and a rectangle that is 6.5 inches by 7.5 inches. And actually, I'm going to jot those down because I just want to make sure we have those all, we all have the same measurements. Okay, so we're going to first add those two shapes onto the canvas, and then we will weld those shapes together to make the arch. So once you have both of those on your canvas, you'll select both layers, and we'll use the modify feature and weld those two layers together. Once you have those two layers welded together, we're going to set that first piece aside, and you can just move it off of your canvas so that we can add the text letters to the canvas. Now, on that left side, we'll click the A, which will bring up your text box, and you can either use the bar on the top, your font bar on the top of your canvas, that bar right there, or you can use the font panel on the right hand side. So we'll use the word mom. Now I used a font called Rockwell Extra Bold, and the font is basically it's called a slab serif type of font. And what that means is that the edges of the font, it's a little bit boxier, a little bit round boxy. And then, so it has like I guess for lack of a better explanation, like a lip on each of the edges of the letters. If you don't happen to have a font called Rockwell Extra Bold, and I looked to see if this was a Microsoft font, to see if like everybody would have it, but it didn't show up in the list of Microsoft fonts. I think it's one that I've had for years. But the BFC Bookworm Serif School font was another great similar font that you could use if you didn't have a font that you liked. You can also use, and if you want to write this down, the Microsoft font Palatino, which is one that is included in Windows. So those are your a couple options, but you just want to look for a font here that has like that little curvature on it. Okay. Then once we've got our font on the software, on your canvas, you're going to want to make your font 5.5 inches wide. Now for the Rockwell font, I was able to increase the point to 129, and that brought it to 5.5 inches. So it doesn't have to be exactly 5.5 inches. If it's like 5.4 or 5.6, you'll still be okay. Once you have your font on the canvas, we're going to do an offset to that font. So on the right side, you'll select this offset panel here, and we're going to do an internal offset. So you can do an offset that is outside of your letters or on the inside of your letters. Today, we're going to do the internal offset, so it's on the inside of our letters. And we'll make that a 0.25 inset. The internal, I don't know what it's called, the internal offset. And once you've done that, go ahead and group those letters together. Let me go back one slide. So once you've created your inset, go ahead, we'll group those together, and then we can move those off of the canvas. So those are right over here on the side. Now, once you have just your mom letters on your canvas, we're going to use the pop-up feature. And again, that's going to be on your right-hand panel. And you just click up the pop-up panel, it comes up, and you turn on. Now, when you turn on, you can change your the width of the base, the strut width, and the dash pitch. So your base is let me pull in here. Your base is this length here. So how far off of your card you want your letters to stand. And let's see, what were the other things? You have your base width, your strut, and your dash pitch. The strut is your base width. I think the strut is the width across, and then the dash pitch is how wide your dashed lines will be. So when you look at this mom word that has been created in a pop-up, you'll see that there are blue lines that have been added, and the blue lines run parallel to your letters. Those are your scoring lines. So when you cut, those will cut as dash lines, and that's where you'll fold. And then where you have these red lines that extend back from your letters, those will actually cut, and that's what creates the pop of your card. This middle dash line here that runs behind your letters, this is actually where the center of your design. So when we add this to our arch piece, this line here where I have the arrow, this is the part you want to have on the center of your card. So when you go to the dash line, that center dash line there, you'll see it has 2 red dots on each side of it. Those red dots can be extended out to the right or the left, allowing you to create a fold line across the entire card. So we'll bring back the arch piece here, and we'll center our mom. We'll center the mom on the arch, and we'll center this line, the score line, on the center of your arch. So if you took the word mom and your card piece and you centered it, it would actually put it in the center from the top to the top of that score line, from the bottom to the bottom score line there. But really, don't forget this dash line with the 2 red dots. That's actually going to be the middle of your card. So once we've done our weld, this arch piece is 10 inches tall. So the center of your card will be at the 5-inch line. So we'll just put those red lines there and then extend those out to the edge. So you just click on those dots and extend them out to the edge. We'll do that together, so don't worry. And then we'll add a backing card, and we'll have to add our own score line. So to do that, we're just going to grab this straight line from the left panel, create that 7 inches across, center it on the card, And then on the right side, we'll adjust the line style from a straight line to a dash line. And that will give us our score line. When you send it over to cut, you'll have the mom right on top of your insert of your card. So we'll cut that as one out of one color cardstock. And then the second cardstock, we'll cut the card with our letters of mom on there. And then we'll assemble it with your adhesive to make a beautiful card. And I also want to remind everybody that we have another workshop Monday, May 6th at 1 p.m. and we'll be doing the exploding card box. So don't miss out on that one. Okay, so this is what we're creating. We'll have 2 layers. This little piece here I added, so if we want to go back in and we have time, we can add the I love you onto this piece. But what we're really going to make today is the mom that folds up like that. So when you close your card, it closes like a regular card. You can put anything you want on the front, but then when you open it, that mom really pops off. And you can use the same technique for dad or grad or anything like that. So once you have this technique, you're going to be good to go. All right. So are there any questions before we dive into the Silhouette software to get started in making this? I'm going to give everybody a chance to ask any questions. While I'm answering any questions, go ahead and open up your software. You can minimize your zoom window up in that upper right corner. You'll notice you have like a dash line, a little box, and an X. If you click on the little box, you can make your zoom window a little bit smaller and then have your Silhouette software a little bit bigger. So all you need to have, the card we're making, so your supplies you need to have will be, excuse me, I still have this lingering cough. Your supplies you'll need are 2 pieces of cardstock. You can use pattern or solid. This one was made with solid colors. I thought maybe I'd pull out some pattern. We could try that. So you just need cardstock, any color, and then you'll need your adhesive. So I have my dry adhesive gun, and then I have my Ultabond adhesive to work with as well. Your machine and your cutting mat. The cool thing about this feature is only available in the Silhouette Studio software. So it's like a really cool feature that I think kind of separates the Silhouette software from other cutting machines. So it's kind of fun. All right, I'm going to share my screen here and we'll dive in together. Now, if you are working with me and I get a step or 2 ahead, don't forget this is being recorded, so you can always go back and watch it. So if you'd rather just like sit and watch me make it, feel free to do that. But give us a shout out if you are if you get behind or you have a question. I think you can raise your hand and let us know. That'll let me know, okay, I need to slow down. So we'll keep our eye out for that. All right, everybody ready to dive in? So the first thing we'll do is come over to this left side here, and you have your drawing tools. We'll need a rectangle and an oval. So let's go ahead and draw the oval. So I just throw one on my canvas to get started here, and then I go up to the top edit bar. And I'll unlock the aspect ratio so I can, make it whatever size I need it to be. So my oval was 6.5 inches wide by 5 inches tall. So you'll go ahead and make that first oval. Now, if you want to, you can always change your color. So if you like to have the visual on the right side, go to that little painty palette, and in the fill section, you can change your, instead of just having the red outline, you can fill in your color. to be whatever color you need. Now, the next part, we're going to bring in our draw a rectangle. So go ahead and draw your rectangle, and we'll make that again 6.5 inches wide by 7.5 inches tall. And you hit enter, and then I can change that color and fill that color if I want. Now, what we're going to do next is line these two up. So if you click off the shapes and drag your cursor around both shapes, and you go up to the top here, we can align by center our two shapes. Now, the oval shape, you can see like right here, this little square, that tells you that is the center of the oval. So we want the rectangle to be at the center of the oval. So just bring that down so your rectangle shape aligns with the center of the oval. And if you got it off center again, just select both of those, align with the center that way. And once that's done, let me see, is that really the, I'm always nervous, is that really the middle of it? So let me get that up on a grid line, and we'll put both those there. Okay, once you've done that, and I'll just double check my alignment. Now the next part is we want these two shapes to turn into a single shape. So we will go to the right panel, and where you have the rectangle and the circle, this is the modify panel, and we will weld those two shapes together, bringing those two shapes into one design. And you can absolutely use any color that works for you. If you want it to match your cardstock color, by all means, just change your color so that you're, whatever you want to do. You can use whatever you want. Once we've created our arch, we can slide this off of our canvas until we're ready to combine the mom with our card. So creating again, we'll grab our text box and add the text to our canvas. Now again, I'm going to choose that Rockwell. You may have another font that you like to use. If you wanted to use the one I recommended from Microsoft. So the fonts in the software, in the Silhouette Studio, these are fonts that are in your Word program. So you would need to install your own fonts. So you can install any fonts that you want to use. But this Palatino Linotype would be a good one to use if you didn't have like a Rockwell or some other font that you like to use. What I just would recommend if you're looking for a different font, just make sure it's more of a like a chunkier font than something that is really thin. Once you have your letters, then you can change your point. So I'm going to bump mine up to 129 points because I want this to be about 5.5 inches. Now, your letters like this will stay grouped together unless you ungroup them. So as I move them around, they all stay together. All right. So once you have your letters on your canvas, you're going to select your letters and come over to the right side again. Collect the star panel, that's your offset panel. Now, once you come in and start adjusting these tabs here, you'll see an extra line come in. Let me zoom in so you can see it on my screen. So when I choose the internal offset, you see how I get the internal offset automatically happens. So that is inside of each of the letters, I have basically an outline. Just to keep things easy, I'm going to change that color so I can see that the inside of my letters are pink, and I'll right click on it and group that together. Now I can move those off of the canvas all together, and you don't lose, you won't lose a letter. That fill feature is super helpful, I gotta tell you. Okay, so now we're back to our mom. Let me come back in again. I like having it nice and big for you guys to see. So we're back to our original letters. And now we're ready to give it the pop. So on the right-hand side, you'll notice down towards the bottom is the pop-up panel. When you click on the pop-up panel, the pop-up panel opens up. So you're going to turn that. We're going to turn that on, and automatically you can see that it started to build out your letters. So if you wanted to go wider with your base, you can just slide this up and it will apply that. I choose my base at 25. So I'm going to put my base at 25. And then my strut width is at 0.079. And my dash pitch will be at 0.085. Okay. So that's all we need to do. And you can see that it added all of the build out, the block out parts of your card are all right there. So once you've done the pop-up for the card, we come back over to our card base and let's slide that back onto our canvas. I'm going to show you a trick. This is something when I'm trying to line things up, so it can be tricky sometimes because you have your grid to work with, but still you're kind of eyeballing things a little bit. So what I like to do is I use this edit bar up here, and I'll position my shape on the X and Y axis. So automatically it takes the corner there and lines it up on that one by one. So it puts it right there on the corner. Now I know, because it's 10 inches tall, I know my middle will be at the 6th line. So if I just go up by inches, I go up to 6 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches is the middle of my card. And so I'm just going to take, sorry, 1 inch by 1 inch. I'm going to take my word mom and line that up on the 6-inch line that goes across there. Oops. Come here, you. So now remember, it's not having your the middle of the mom on that 6-inch line, it's having that dash line on the 6-inch line. So we're just going to move this. You ever have trouble clicking on exactly the one you need? Come on, you. All right, let's grab this. So we'll put that on that 6, this is 6 inches up, and we're going to bring this back over and line it back up on the 1 by 1. And let me zoom out so you can see that a little bit better. So I've got this on the 1 inch by 1 inch. The dash line of the fold of my mom is on the 6-inch line here. So at the halfway point of my arch. Now I can take both of these shapes, select both of them, and again, do that center align. You don't want to align it exactly to the center, remember, because you want to keep that fold where it is. So now that's right in the center. The fold line will be right in the center of my arch piece. And the last thing I need to do is take the, watch, it's not gonna let me grab it. You need to grab your mom and pull that out to the edge. Oh, dearie. Okay. My card selection is not letting me have any of it. So let's go to here. Let's get this out to the edge. So you'll end up making this 6.5 inches wide, like that. And then we'll bring this guy back over. And actually, I'm going to move this up just a hair. Oops. I want to get it right on that 6-inch line. Let's take off the snip to grid and see if I can get it that way. There we go. So now it's right. Now it's right on that 6-inch line right there. I've got my piece. I'm going to bring it back over one by one, puts it right in the middle. All right. So any questions so far? How's everybody doing? Are we good? All right. If you're with me, we're just going to take both of these layers and group them together. Then you can move them around as you need to. We're done with this, so we can move this off the mat. Now we need to add our card, the back of our card, and that's just a rectangle. So again, we'll grab our rectangle shape, bring a rectangle onto your canvas, and hop on up, and we'll change this to a 7 by 10 inch rectangle. So this will give you about 1/4 of an inch around around your design. And I actually may have those wrong. 7 by 10. It may need to be a little bit taller than that. Let's line them up and make sure. We'll send that one to the back so we can bring our card on here. You want about 1/4 of an inch around. So our card with the mom is 10 inches tall. So our back card needs to be 10.5 inches. Now we've got that right in the middle. Okay. So we'll slide the mom card over, line this up again on that 1 by 1 inch box. About 1 by 1. Anybody else see that, how it goes down too far? All right, I'm going to put it right there. Now we need to add the score line on the middle of our card. If you want to have your other card to just kind of help out to get that score line, bring it in and center it on the top of the card. Then we'll come over to the left side here and get the straight line so we can draw that across. And we'll basically line that up with the fold line on your blue card. So click it down, drag it across, and click it to the end. So this, you'll just want to make sure that it is 6 inches wide. Sorry. 7 inches wide. Okay. And that'll be right the same spot where our other score line is. The last thing we need to do, though, is we don't want to cut our card in half like that. This line, we want this line to be a score line. So you need to select that line and go to the right side and change your line style from a cut line to a dash line. And that will give you a score line. Okay, and then you can just group those two together as well. That way you can move them around if you need to. And we'll bring the word mom back onto our canvas. Probably need to rotate it so that you can cut it together. Cut it just in one pass. Put that right there. Now just remember that when you cut these out, each of these letters will cut individually. And then we're going to glue those onto the center of the blue card. Okay, so how's everybody doing? Before you cut, can you please quickly go over creating the offset for mom again? Absolutely. So when you do the offset for the word mom, what you're going to do is you'll have your word mom typed out. So I'm just going to type out mom, and let's change that to the rock. I'll just change it to, here we go, Rockwell extra bold. Okay, so we'll change that to the font we're using. I'm going to make it bigger. And then on your right side here, your design panel, if you click the star, normally you could do an offset of your shape. That's normally, like, I usually 9 out of 10 times I'm doing the offset so it goes around my letters. But for this, I thought it'd be fun to do an internal offset. So it brings in, you know, let me just do something here. Let me change this color so you can see. If I make this like blue, okay. So when I go to my internal offset and I bring that in, it turns it, so I did it at a distance of 0.045 or 0.045 with strong corners and a corner limit of 1. So when I apply that and I add that onto my canvas, it goes inside my letter. So the purple color is the outside. I did it on the inside of my letters. Part of the reason why, when I was making this card, this design, I found if I went on the offset, it made these letters a little bit bigger. So it was harder to do the pop-up. So when you're doing the pop-up, I wanted to have enough room between the letters. Now you can always change your letters and change your the line spacing. So the spacing of the letters, you can bring those closer. Let's see if I bring those in a little bit closer, like that. And then if I added an offset to it, this is kind of getting away, but I want to make sure everybody has a chance to kind of catch up a little bit. Let's make that offset a little bit bigger. Let's do an offset at 0.5. Oh, that's way big. Let's do an offset at 0.25. 0.05. Okay. So and then I've kind of got 2 offsets here. Yeah. So delete that one and bring this one back. So let's just say that instead, so if I kept this letters as the front and did this offset as the back, you would want to remove these little inside pieces here. So we would release that compound and remove these. And I'm just showing you another way to do the pop-up for future ideas. So if I have that background and I do the pop-up card again, and I turn that on, now I've got, a much bigger pop-up, and my letters are going to go on like that. We're doing each letter individually, but you can see here where you've got the bigger letters as the pop-up. It looks different. And there's your letters on the inside. All right, so I hope that kind of answered your question, but also showed everybody a little bit more technique. Now we're going to bring our back card and the mom over, and this will be the first thing we cut. When you're ready, you send it over to your machine, and you'll see it'll make where the red lines are, it will cut those. And then I'm ready. I got to get my paper ready, and then I'll send that over. So, all right. If you have questions, please keep posting those in. I'll try and keep my eye on those, but I'm going to go overhead to my overhead camera, which is right next to me. So if we can switch to the overhead camera, but this way you can see how I prepare my mat and everything. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to first cut out this card piece and our letters that are going to go on top of the mom. So I thought, I kind of think I want to do my card itself in the in a pattern paper. So I'm gonna, since we're cutting out the back card first, I'm gonna go ahead and put that on my mat. So we'll remove my protective piece on my card, and then I'm just gonna lay this onto my mat to cut. And you just want to like push that down. I do like to use a little brayer to push down my material here to make sure everything's going to stick down there for me. So we'll just put that right on there. And then I'm ready to send it to my machine. So I'm going to go back into my software and I'll load this in and send it. So I just hit the button to load it in and I'm going to send. It's telling me to please load. There we go. It's not finding it for me. Okay. Huh. It's telling me it cannot find my media. I'm using the wrong one. No, that's not, I'm using the wrong one. Sorry. I'm thinking maybe I'm using the wrong machine. Cameo 4, syncing it. Okay, so it's saying load media. Okay, now it's ready. Sorry about that, guys. So see, it's going to first do the little cut lines there. Exciting. And I did pick 80-pound cardstock as my paper weight. So it depends on your weight of paper as to the weight that you choose. My paper is a textured medium weight paper, so I did choose to use that 7. All right, now we're done with that. So I'm going to go back into, I'll share my screen again, and we're going to go back into the design. And I just need to move my card off to the edge and bring this guy onto the paper itself. So I can cut that one and we'll send that one over. Now I'm going to go ahead and unload this. Oops. Unload that. What I like to do when I remove my material from my cutting mat is I do like to make sure that I turn it upside down and I peel the mat from my cardstock. This keeps your cardstock from curling as it comes off the mat. Your mat has like adhesive on it, so it does tend to like hold onto your cardstock. And if you just take your cardstock off from the front, then that will kind of curl the cardstock on you, which you don't want to have happen. Okay, so we're going to set these 2 pieces aside. My mom, put that over here. I'm turning those upside down so I can make sure I see them. And then I've got this nice green cardstock here. Again, this is a medium weight cardstock, so I'm going to cut it with a medium weight setting. Put that on our piece here. Just roll that down like that. Now let's go ahead and load this in. All right, and then I'll go back over to my software and send that over. This will do a little bit more cutting this time, because it's got to cut all those other lines in for me. Okay. Let's make sure we don't have any miss any questions. But I always like to keep a little dish handy for my little pieces, because sometimes they'll get, blown away or find their way underneath something. So the pattern cardstock I used has this nice little gingham on one side and these little dots on the other. I'm gonna use the gingham on the front of my card so I can add, a sentiment, maybe put my mom's name on it or something like that. So with my score line, it folds in half really easily. Now I am hand delivering this card for Mother's Day, so I'll be able to see my mom and my mother-in-law for Mother's Day. If I were needing to mail it, I might make my card a little bit smaller to make it easier to make an envelope for it. But you can, however you want to make your envelope for your card, if you need to mail it, I would recommend that you get your, you mail it. Let me think. If you need to mail it, make sure you have it hand stamped. So when you go to your post office, ask them to hand stamp the card so it doesn't go through the machine. That's my one little piece of advice there. So again, I'm going to turn it over and peel my mat off of my cardstock here. You may have some of these very thin lines that kind of break on you. That happened to me a little bit. I didn't worry about it because the card still popped off very nicely. Okay, so once I've removed that, I put my protective back on it. So I like to you want to keep your mat nice and clean. So you always put your little protective mat back on there. And then if you can slide it under a bit, you're good to go. All right. So how's everybody doing? Are we cutting? I'm excited for this. I think this is such a fun card and easy to make. Okay, now on your card itself, let me see if I can get closer and scroll in a little bit. I don't know if that can do it better. Yeah, there we go. What I'm going to show you is you have these dashed lines. That's where the card is going to fold and pop out. So this first set of dashed lines you're going to want to fold towards you, and then the next ones you'll fold kind of back. This one will fold towards you, and this one will fold back. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of folding. So you kind of do an accordion fold. So we'll take the first lines and we'll fold them towards us like that. And go ahead and take the middle of your card and kind of fold you don't want to fold your letters, because your letters you're going to, you don't want to put a crease in the middle of your letters. Let's see what's the best way to do this. So let's do the bottom this way. And you don't want to fold your letter, so you kind of want to a little bit. Just go slowly. Help them stand up a bit. And then when you get back to here, you're going to fold your letters backwards. So you're going to kind of have your letters standing up here. And parts of your back pieces will stay back. So you just kind of like look at your fold lines and push along the fold lines. Can you guys see this? I'm kind of pushing along those fold lines. And then our letters, we want to pop those up and have this raise up like a little soldier there. Kind of have to just go nice and slowly and follow those crease lines. I'm just kind of creating that little shelf there. with the top of each letter. There we go. Okay, so once you've got those kind of created, kind of come to the back a little bit more and fold it. So can you see how those have created on there? I've got like the top of the line right there, and your bottom is right there. When you fold it in half, kind of look at where your card folds in half on the back side, and you will have these little pieces. They're such small parts that hold on. I kind of will kind of like get rid of some of those pieces. Like I trim those off. So there we go. So we've got a nice fold here. You can trim those off if you'd like to. If you want to have them stay on, you can. The like the parts here of the card that will adhere to the back of the other card. So that part you don't want to cut off, but like your M's, you can fold, crease those up if you want them to stay on the card. I kind of found that a little bit more than I needed, but if you want to keep those there, oh, I don't keep them. I have one version with them on there and then one version without them. So we'll just fold those along their fold lines and we'll adhere that down. All right, so you've got some little pieces on the back that don't have any connectors down here, and that's okay. We'll glue those down. That's where your little glue like this might come in handy. Now, at this point, you can decide if you want to put your pattern letters or your front letters on to your card. So we'll put those on before we adhere it all together. So all you have to do for that is take each of your letters, turn them over, and we'll put the adhesive on the back. So I'll just use my little liquid adhesive here. We'll put some dots on it. I can get a little excited with this glue, so I have to be careful I don't put too much down. There we go. If you find, because you don't want it to scoot out, so if you find that you get a little bit too much in, just use your finger and kind of wipe it a little bit, kind of give it a little clean look. And then we'll grab that and put that right onto our letters. So just center that right on your card. Whatever makes sense to you, however you like to adhere things down. If you'd rather use paper adhesive, you can do that with little tabs. And I'll just do one more here. I don't know what's more fun. Watching, like doing the software part of it, learning the software part of it, or learning this. This type of technique to do this by hand takes a lot of time and thinking about each piece, where you're going to cut it, where you're going to score it. So I love that the software has that all done for us. Okay. So there's my mom. Cute. We're going to seal that just real up. I'm going to give it a little light tap there. Okay, now I'm ready to put it into my card. So from my card, I'm just going to line up my centers where my score lines are, and then adhere everything together. So first I'll do the base of my card into here and then turn it over and go ahead and do this back part as I need to. So to do this, I just use my big, this is from Scotch. It's called an Advanced Tape Glider, and I've had this forever. You just replace the adhesive roll on the inside. It lasts forever. I don't even know how often I have to replace it, but it's not too frequently. I'll try that lined up. So I'm just lining up my center folds again. I'll put that down. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn it over on the back. Down here, I'll very carefully put some glue on that and then use my tape glider along the top to put that there. The tape is actually clear, so you may not see how I'm putting that down because it's a clear tape. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back of these little pieces here. It's going to help them stick on. A little dab will do ya. And then for this part, we're just going to close the card up that way. Put everything down. And to get these little pieces to stick down, just grab your scissors. Push that down a little bit, make it smaller scissors. And just push that right down in there. And there we go. And if your little letters, the little pieces are too small, they kind of pop off a little bit, you can just take your scissors and clip those little scragglers off there. Like smaller scissors. I have a lot of scissors. Doesn't every crafter? All right. There we go. Let's just make sure it folds. And now when you open it, you've got your mom and your little ledge there. So it really is so cute. So these are down here, got little popping up. Now you can, if you wanted to, just some additional ideas, you could have written a sentiment on the card, on the inside of the card here if you wanted to. On this one, I added another little arch and I just did a cutout for the I love you and put that right on top of here. You can add a photo of you and your mom right on the front of your card. That's actually let me do that. Just add like a favorite picture on there and then write your little memory on the inside of your card. Lots of fun things. While I'm in the overhead camera, I'll show you this exploding box we're going to make in another upcoming class, but it's a square like this, and then when you open it up, it explodes with pictures and sentiments. You can make little pockets to put things in, all kinds of stuff like that. So this is the base of this card is what we'll be making in a future class. If you want to join us for that one. Is that fun and cute? And then you can put little candies or treats on the inside if you wanted to. And then we just plop that on the top. All right. So before we end for the workshop, were there any additional questions that you had about using your silhouette, the pop-up card feature, or anything like that? I think we got them all answered while we were going through. This is a great group. You guys worked quickly. All right. Well, I hope to see you in a future class. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and everyone have a great evening.